advanced compositing! Or at least more advanced than what we were doing before. Yay! Okay, so for those of you that actually do have shadows in your shot, I have this test shot as an example. So I just quickly threw this together for you. I'm basically walking around my trash of a garden with a monkey head in the middle. Now I've tracked it, I've lit it, and I've even gone into cycles so I get a more realistic result. If I go into rendered view, I now have this, which is good. I've lined up my shadows nice. Sorry, they're not quite lined up. Let me grab my sun, rotate along the z-axis a little bit. There we go, that'll do. So now we have this. So if I go ahead and render this, we have monkey head, which I did texture, but you can't see it that well on here. So we have our monkey head, and if it'll hurry up, we will then have our shadows, which is on a separate layer for a good reason. I'll explain this reason in a minute. Because yeah, we go here. All these different passes here are what makes up the final image. So we have for the monkey head, we mainly want these. Shadow and ambient occlusion are not needed really. Shadows on the other hand, we definitely do want shadow and ambient occlusion passes checked on, because this is what will be ultimately an input on the node editor. So now we have that, we have our monkey head and we have our shadows layer. So now we go over here to node editor and we have nothing, because I deleted everything from earlier. So what we want to do is, instead of adding 2 like the last tutorial, we're going to add 3 input nodes. So we've got 2 render layers and a movie clip. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. Right, we have our movie clip. We want to select one as shadows and the other one as our monkey head. So I'm going to add a viewer node, so I have something to go off of. And if we click Control Shift and click, then we can view each layer separately, which is always nice. So click that a second so I can double check what I'm doing. Now, with this one, we don't just have to worry about the monkey head, we have to worry about these shadows as well, and how they're going to fit onto here. So we're going to, because the shadows is the more complicated one, we're going to look at that one first. So what we want to do is we want to add a mix node, add the image, and not the image, we want the shadows, just the shadows, sorry. So we have that. So but now we have this, which doesn't look that good. So what we want to do is change the mix to multiply, and as we can see, we have our just our square with a slight shadow on it from our movie clip. So we don't want this obviously, so what we're going to do is we're going to add another mix node, put that in here, and drag our shadow down to here, and bring our alpha to the factor. So now we have this, all of this is now white, which means all of this is now transparent. So if we now go back into here, we can see that our shadow is on the ground. Hooray. But for you, you might get a little line across here. I can't see it at the moment, but you might get a little line here. So to fix that, I'm going to throw in a quick thing here. Shift A to add a filter, delete a road. Just plug it in where the alpha is. So it now has to go through here before it goes to the factor. And just set your distance to about -10, just for good measure. Because if you set it, actually I'll show you what it does. So what it's doing is it's now either decreasing or expanding our surface area that the shadows are on. That's 10. So we now got rid of that line. Now, as we could see in our shadows layer, we have shadows, and we have this little thing here, which is called ambient occlusion, which is not here, which is fine. It's all good and dandy, because all I have to do is do this entire step all over again, only with the ambient occlusion. So I'm going to go to the mix node, add that in, add another mix node, set that one to multiply, sorry. Drag this delayed erode thing over to the factor on this. I know it looks a bit messy at the moment, but you could try tidying up if you want to, but it wouldn't do much. So if we plug those in, we now have our ambient occlusion. Hooray! So now with this setup, you may notice that we can actually now increase and decrease the values of both of these things. So I'm going to leave that both like that a second. And now we can finally add our monkey head, which is a simple add an alpha over and connect the image to this alpha over. And we have our monkey head. Now for this one, as we see, our monkey head is a little bit darker than the rest of the scene. So that's an easy fix. You could go ahead and light up the monkey head for the rest of the scene, but I've already tried that and the monkey head just looks awful. That's awful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an RGB curves to the footage. I'm actually going to decrease the brightness of the footage to match the monkey head, rather than the other way around. So I say that looks good. One more thing, I'm going to add a vector blur to the monkey head. Yeah, again to add some form of realism to it. Now to finish it all off, I'm going to add another RGB curves to brighten the whole thing back up again. Like that, like the original image was. One more thing I'm going to do quickly is the shadows in here where the monkey head doesn't quite match up with the others. The other shadows are a bit darker and a bit bluer. So again, that's an easy fix. All I have to do is go to this shadows layer, add another RGB curves to it, and decrease the brightness. Looks good, and add a bit of blue. There we go, that's that done. Hope you found this whole series helpful. I will leave you to do whatever you want.